Neither rain nor sleet nor snow could stop my next guest. And as it turned out, he had to slog through a mix of all three to join us today. The recently re-elected mayor of Boston, that would be Marty Walsh. Congratulations on your re-election.
Thank you very much.
Can we start with the most important topic on people's minds?
Absolutely.
Speaking of snow, space savers.
Yes.
Where are you? By the way, when you have a driveway now, right?
Yes.
So when you were a kid, what did you put? Toilets out in the sun?
We put lawn chairs, we put cones, we put a barrel with trash in it that was full. So
and what happens if someone moved the barrel?
Nothing.
What really happened? Exactly.
I'll write it in my book.
Okay, fine. So what is the current Walsh rule? Is it
48 hours after a snow. So what happened in this storm, which is unfortunate, that we made the rule. Well, we didn't make the rule. The rule's been in place for many years now in the city. 48 hours after a snowstorm, you can save your space. Yeah. And then you can't. Then we pick up the trash. We pick up whatever's in the spot. But what happened, it seemed this time, there was a lot more threats and vandalism of cars. And I made a statement the other day that if people continue to do that, threaten people, we're going to have to reevaluate the whole process. Because it shouldn't be that way.
Well, speaking of, you have your rule. There's another guy I spoke to a couple of years ago who has a different rule. I wanted your response. Here he is.
I got to tell you a secret. When I'm out jogging, I'm throwing a lot of space savers out of there, and I'm always afraid I'm going to get caught. But, when it's not even snowing, people have out space savers. And after 5 days of snow, they still have them out.
He's from South Boston.
The former commissioner of the police department.
Okay, let's move to some things that really matter. That really matters to a lot of people. Part of your inaugural second-term speech was about rebuilding the bridge to Long Island as a recovery community. There's been some support. There's also been some blowback. Joan Vanocchi in the Globe says it's really about what the business community wants. It's not about those in recovery. Others are saying $100 million, which is the estimated cost, can be spent a lot better. Where is it going to come from? What's the case for rebuilding the bridge? And everybody knows you care deeply about this community, but why there and why this much money?
Because I care about the community and because it's the right place for it. It's a recovery campus idea that we're putting together out there. It has served that purpose in the past. We had more programs out there. We had the homeless shelters out there. We had reentry programs out there.
Homeless people will not be put back there. No,
because we hid them out there. And I think in the sense of a homeless situation, we're working on that issue right now in the city. We've housed 1,300 chronically homeless people. We broke ground yesterday on St. Francis House in Boston that's going to have another 26 units of housing for formerly homeless people. So we're working on creating more opportunities. But this really is an idea of building the bridge back out there. We have the infrastructure with the buildings. We have all of the facilities out there that we could actually do something really special when it comes to recovery. We're putting together a committee of people to talk about what actually goes on the island. People in Quincy were upset. People in Marina Bay,
Mayor in Quincy
in Squantum,
upset.
actually. He wasn't, and the mayor's a friend of mine. And the mayor cares deeply about this issue. I mean, the mayor has brought programs to Quincy, recovery programs, and my friend Bruce Ayers, the state rep there as well, cares about these issues.
How about the money, though?
They're also
concerned.
Did
you consider alternatives that weren't going to cost $100 million?
Well, we're not sure exactly what the bridge is. The estimate is anywhere between 40 and 100 million, depending on what the bridge is that goes out there. It's a lot of money. We're going to use money out of the parking meter fund. We've put money in the budget, in that capital budget, for $30 million. We've had it a space holder literally for the last 3.5 years.
Where's the other money? Rest of the money coming
Parking
from?
meter fund.
And how about Joan Vanocchi's suggestion that this has at least as much to do about the business community wanting people in recovery out of their way?
I've talked to Joan. I appreciate her commentary. I appreciate her opinion, but that's not the case in this case. I mean,
you appreciate it. Made you angry, didn't it?
I was upset about it. Yes, because I care about not that Joan doesn't. Joan cares about the people as well that are homeless and that need recovery. But it's something that for 4 years people criticized us for closing the bridge, and now we talk about rebuilding the bridge, and we're getting, which is fine, we're getting criticism for rebuilding the bridge by certain people, but not by all.
But it's a done deal. It's going to happen. It's just a question of what it's going to look like.
What it's going to look like and what's going to go out there.
What is not a done deal? You told me and Marty Egan on the radio that right before the preliminary report on the body cams came out about a week ago, you said, I'm not convinced yet. Here's part of what the preliminary report said. The trial suggests the placement of body-worn cameras on Boston police officers may generate small benefits to the civility of police citizens, civilian encounters, etc. Are you still not convinced?
No, I'm not. May is an important word in that, and we're going to wait for the rest of the report to come out. But it is about building trust. It's about building relationships in the community. And if body cameras are part of that, that can prove that can show that it does build trust and we can help it, then we'll probably move forward with it. If it doesn't show it enough, we will have the conversation. I am not either way. I haven't made my mind up on which way you should go.
Is it not fair to say that every time I spoke to you or your commissioner since the body cam experiment, the pilot happened, the only thing either of you ever raised was a concern, not only positive feedback, particularly from your commissioner, from the cops, from citizenry, etc., was the cost. All of a sudden, the cost is not the only issue.
No, the cost is always an issue, but
was the issue.
But I can't use the cost as a reason not to move a pilot program forward, move the program forward if the program actually does prove that it can help us.
How about the fact that people, I mean, this poll, we did a poll right before the debate you did, that we did on WGBH, 78-12. People in Boston want to, that's like practically unanimous.
Again,
doesn't that matter?
Again, it's not about the poll. It's about the information and making sure the information, if we institute a body camera program, that it's instituted for the right reasons and that it has the right results for us in our relationship. It ultimately comes down to relationships. The body camera is another tool potentially in that relationship building to making sure that the relationship is strong.
But it seems to me that whatever the final report says, it's not going to be able to gauge whether it will improve the perception of trust.
The last report will. It absolutely will.
Does the poll matter to you? Does the fact that overwhelmingly people want it?
I don't need a poll to see that. It matters to me when I talk to people in the community.
Speaking of business, which we were a couple of seconds ago, vis-a-vis the Long Island Bridge thing, the Globe has a story this morning that the new head of GE is contemplating breaking up the company, and there's an issue about what will be here, will not be here. Do you get calls from leaders at GE prior to stories like that appear in the paper?
No, they've talked to us. They've called the office to give us a heads up a little bit on what's happening. Not a full detail. I'm reaching out to GE to have a deeper meeting.
Should they be reaching out to you?
I'm not concerned. GE is a worldwide company, and the fact that they're based here in Boston now is we go with every story that happens. So if something happens at GE in a different part of the country, a different part of the world, it's going to be reported here because their headquarters is here. I mean, am I concerned about GE not being here 5 years from now? No, I'm not. GE is one of the oldest companies in the world, and they're a company that I feel will be able to make the changes they need to get back on top again. And
Are you worried about the $25 million you've committed and the $125 million the state's committed?
No, because the money is not. There's no commitment there unless there's an increase in jobs. So if
there isn't, the city won't spend the money. The state will. There's no clawback provision.
No, if they don't build the building, the money.
If they don't build the building,
so that comes back.
You have talked a lot, not only about the President of the United States, for whom you apparently do not have great fondness, but you've been particularly critical of his position vis-a-vis immigrants. I know most recently the temporary protected status, vis-a-vis Salvadorans. A big issue that's coming ahead, Mr. Mayor, in the next 24, 48 hours is the whole Dreamers, the DACA thing. Yeah. A lot of Democrats in Congress were criticized for not drawing a line in the sand in the last proposed shutdown and saying, we're not voting to keep this government open unless you protect those 800,000 young people brought here by their parents. Do you support your fellow Democrats in Congress drawing a line this time and saying, if we have to shut down the government to protect those young people, so be it. We'll do it.
I absolutely do. I support them in that.
Even if it means a shutdown.
Even if it means a shutdown. However, I don't understand why in Washington, D.C., that people, even though they have different political parties, they are like-minded in a lot of ways, so they can't come to an agreement. This is an issue that should come to an agreement. This issue of DACA has been supported by Democrats and Republicans alike throughout the entire United States of America. It was supported by both Bushes, by Clinton, by President Obama. It's been supported by everybody.
Well, by President Trump from time to time.
And I don't understand why they can't get together on this issue. It's a shame that we're at the point where we have to shut the government down. Now, if people want to remember, go back about 10 years ago, the Republicans, this is something they used all the time in their toolbox. Let's shut the government down. They didn't get something they want, and you know something, the Democrats every single time gave in, which is important to give in if you gain something. I think that the dreamers that are here, they came here. They're for the most part, they're legal. They're involved in our schools. They're involved in the work environment. They pay taxes. They're family people. They're an asset to our country. They're an asset to our state and our city. And I think that more mayors and more governors need to speak up here and say that we need this. This is something we spoke about at the U.S. Conference of Mayors, where we had Republicans and Democratic mayors together on this issue. This is a bipartisan issue that we shouldn't be playing nonpartisan politics for everything else in Washington.
Even if it means the Democrats shut the government down.
I hope they do for a day or 2 or 3 days or what have you. But again, there's Republicans on the other side that are afraid to step up. You get elected to make difficult decisions. You believe in this program. You're a Republican or a Democrat. Get up there and stand up and do what you got elected to do. Don't play to Donald Trump and don't play to the rhetoric that's going on in the country by 20% of the population.
Congratulations on your second term.
Thank you.
Nice to see you, Mr. Mayor. Marty Walsh.